As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the 3-year anniversary of Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right, guys. We made it 3 fucking years. You know that?
Well, technically 1 year for me.
What? Dude, you've been here since the beginning. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm just glad you're here to celebrate it with me, man.
Woo, we got some Sambuc in the house.
Yeah, man. 3 fucking years.
Yeah, wow.
Man.
Crazy.
Dude, it is crazy to me, man. Like, thinking about everything that I've done for the fucking podcast behind the scenes and everything. Like, I don't know why I haven't just, like, been like, fuck it! Fuck it!
I still remember we pulled that all-nighter when we did the Friday the 13th series.
Oh, my God, dude. I was watching so much that whole week, man. Like, right. I watched both, like, the documentary, which is like 6.5 fucking hours long, and then I like had to like research fucking the video game because we were doing that too. Like,
oh, I forgot about that, dude. Yeah, that was the very next day, wasn't it? Because we recorded that night and
right.
Came back that morning.
And I was, guys, just so you know, like, for those of you who've been here for a long enough time, when we first started this thing out, it was me and Mike, and we had no idea what we were going to do. If you listen to our first episode, which is one of our most listened to episodes, and it's so weird because, like, when I think about it, I'm like, I'm glad people listen to it, but in the same respect, like, so much has changed.
Right, the production value's gone up.
Well, like, you know, how comfortable we feel, right. Like, what we talk about, the format, like, you know, just all these little things. And then when I think about that, like, maybe it was better simple to them. Like, I don't know. But if that's the sample that they're getting from 3 years ago, so much has changed.
Yeah.
I used to dump so much on these listeners. guys is just too much there.
Come on, guys.
Guys. But I used to dump so much, like, I wanted to watch like 5 fucking movies a week, guys. And seriously, like, I was like, oh my God, like, thinking back on that, I'm like, what was I thinking? You know, like, that is just.
And then we thought we were whittling down when we went to 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, everybody had to pull their equal weight, and it was like, it's been a struggle, you know. It's a learning process, and, you know, I think we've only missed, like, in the 3 years, I think I've only missed like 2 weeks each year.
That's when you went to your family's house, yeah?
Right. Even when I went to visit my family this week, I had one ready. We planned it so that I would have it, and then it would be, you know what I mean? So
right.
I don't know. I just want you guys to know, for all of those if you're listening now, whether you're new, old, or, you know, this is your first episode, like, thank you. You guys fucking are the biggest reason as to why I do this. Yeah, I'm fucking crazy, and, like, you know, I'm like uber passionate about dumb shit, and I might come down on Patrick, you know, back in the old days. But it's all part of the growing process, right? Like,
yeah, you know, I missed the news segment.
I do too.
That back.
I know. What do you guys think? I would love to hear what you think. Do we need to bring the news segment back? Because I'm a long-winded motherfucker, and it's like, I want to cover like every single base on every fucking movie we do to try to do it. So I'm like, still learning. I'm still learning, you know?
You gotta learn to let some shit go.
Right. But I want to know what you guys think, genuinely. So let us know, you know? I mean, sometimes I'm sure, and that's why I started putting those timestamps in the fucking episode.
Right, so you can stop listening to those people complain.
Right. Well, it's not even about, I don't care if someone complains about it. I mean, their concerns are valid, like, you know, but everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different interest.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Someone complained about us cussing last week, right?
Yes!
So, fuck shit, piece of shit, fuck you. Shit.
It's one of those things. But yeah, guys, we had somebody that was like, it's not that I don't even care. Like, I thought it was funny. Like, I was laughing my ass off.
Maybe they meant it as a joke?
Well, they said something on SoundCloud, and I'm not trying to point you out, by the way. So if you're listening, it's really not a big deal. I just thought it was humorous. I thought it was funny because I was like, yeah, we really do cuss.
Yeah, it was fucking funny, dude.
And when I was listening to the segment where they commented on, because in SoundCloud you can like comment on fucking like where.
Oh, really?
Here
See,
I am saying fucking
that.
already.
Fuck.
You can comment on where in the part you're listening to that inspired you to write at that moment. So while you're listening on SoundCloud, you can write. And they wrote, and I went back and listened, and I was like, God damn, we really did say fuck a lot. We said fuck and shit a lot, but I just started laughing by myself, which I was like, this is a really good joke. But yeah, we're going to really try to fucking not cuss on this episode, guys. So, you know.
Fucking A right.
Fuck yeah, man. Like, it's going to be a fucking real... We're going to really fucking tone it down, you know? Tone it the fuck down. Tone the fucking shit out of it, you know? Down. It's for all of our Disney fans out there.
Oh, man.
But seriously, for those of you guys that have been listening for however long, it doesn't matter. We really do appreciate you guys. Like, I fucking adore you guys. Some of you I know are more vocal than others, and that's fine. Like, whether you want to say something or not, but just know this is your home. This is a safe space for all of us to enjoy each other's company, and I fucking adore it. I've made so many wonderful friends over the years who've listened to the podcast, who've come over, who've interviewed with us, who have done like, you know, just like guest spots, you know, like there's too many to name. Like, and I talk to all these people like regularly, even some of the like directors and stuff like that behind the scenes. We do it. We like hang out and talk occasionally just to say what's up. And I just think that's so cool, man. Like, that's what it's all about to me. It's just finding people who like the weird shit that we do and, you know, talk about it. But, yeah. So, and guys, today we're going to be actually talking about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the movie. I read some of the books. I read some of the passages to my girlfriend and Patrick and Kelly.
Yeah, like I felt like I wanted to cuddle up and take a little nap.
Sit right down and get ready for some scary stories to tell in the dark. And like, seriously, guys, I've been thinking about like actually reading them to you, but I was like, that might be copyright.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, we won't go there.
I don't think you can, but anyway. But yeah, thanks guys for listening. We really appreciate you. Tell us what your favorite shit is about this podcast. Is it the fucking cussing? Is it the fucking goddamn horror shots? Do you like the news? Do you like our breakdowns of the movies? Do you like our reviews, our trivia? Like, what is it that you like about the show?
News. We haven't done the news in like fucking at least a couple years
Well,
now.
it's because of time. I don't want to make these episodes like 3 hours long. That's a lot to ask of somebody. Also, guys, we have a giveaway that we're going to be doing this week. So if you haven't signed up for the VIP club that's on longlivethevoid.com, you're missing out. We're giving away free fucking movies all the time.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, every month we're going to be giving away free movies, and all you have to do is sign up for the fucking goddamn podcast. We'll basically give you alerts when we go live, so it's nothing you don't want to hear already. Plus, you're going to get like a bunch of different fucking movies that, you know, we have. Some of these are a little bit more summer themed that Christina and I are putting together, but you're definitely going to want to, I would take them for sure. And we'll send them out as long as you're in US or Canada. We'll send them out to you. And it'll take a few days to get them. Last time we got it out, we got some special things in there. I did mention we were going to give away Hobo with a Shotgun on DVD special 2-disc edition, you know, with Rucker Hauer passing. It's a nice little complimentary thing if you haven't had it. So, but there's other stuff in there. I think there's like 5-6 movies in there, actually.
So yeah, just sign up.
Yeah, guys, be cool. Be like us. Well, maybe don't be like us. Be like cool people, okay?
Yeah, don't be like, you know.
The people that sign up.
All right.
Yeah, you be like those people.
Can I bring up one tidbit of news that I saw that you even posted?
All right. What's bigger than 3-year anniversary, Patrick? What's
Quentin Tarantino doing a fucking horror movie?
Well,
dude,
he's
supposedly.
Already, well, one of my friends, and I was like just trying to like get people to talk about this, but like he's already done a horror movie, technically. Death Proof.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it is. I mean, they're not wrong, whoever feels that way. But when I think of like horror movie, I feel like that's more of like a kind of like an action exploitation film more than it is a horror film for some reason in my mind. I definitely agree that it has the gore in there. I mean,
oh yeah, dude, the way that fucking leg flies out.
Right, like that's like one of the most memorable scenes in any fucking movie. But yeah, I would love to see another horror movie from him. Maybe he'll go more horror this time. Like I was talking to somebody online and on Twitter or whatever, and we were going back and forth about what it would be if he did a horror movie. And I was like, well, he just feels like a slasher kind of guy.
Oh yeah,
you know,
oh yeah,
like he's just a slasher kind of guy. But maybe he could do like a fucked up family sort of story.
And
too.
he always, dude, one of his things I love about Quentin Tarantino is the character development that he brings.
Well, and a lot of people will argue this with him is that he borrows from a lot of stuff too. So, and I'm not trying to take away from him, guys, but they're, you know, it's not too far of a stretch of the imagination that he borrows from other underground, you know, classics that we like and turn them into mainstream movies.
Right.
You know, and gives them that sort of retro pastiche sort of feel that's like Tarantino-esque, you know. I haven't even seen the new movie, by the way. I really want to go see it.
Oh, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I've been hearing is amazing shit about it. He said in an interview that while he was on the set shooting a scene in that movie that was basically when all the murders took place, I guess they do something with that.
Oh, the Charles Manson
Yeah,
thing,
I have no idea.
Sharon
But
Tate.
he didn't explain anything about it other than that when he was taking these shots, he was sending them over to the editor so that he could edit up the scenes and, like, you know, get to work on these so they could put out the movie as soon as they could, you know. He said that the editor was like, this is fucking horror. This is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, really?
That's what they were saying. He was like,
Oh,
fuck,
shit.
you're kind of right. He was like, so, because some guy was like, hey, what do you think? You think you would be willing to do a horror movie? And everybody wants him to do like a Star Trek movie.
Well, he said he wanted to do it with some of the cast members from the movie that J.J. Abrams did. Right. Like he wanted to use the same guy who played Kirk. His name escapes me right now. And the guy who played Spock. Like,
don't get me wrong, he has cool action in his movies, but I feel like sometimes he's a little long-winded in the things that he writes. You know, so Star Trek isn't technically supposed to be more action than it is, you know, it's supposed to be talky.
It is.
Where Star Wars is like bing, 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 bing.
Star Trek's more on the technical side, the
it's
actual
supposed
science,
to be, yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense if you think of it that old way, but the way the new movies have gone have been a little bit more...
Well, what he wants to do is just scrap, like, those movies never happened, but he wants those actors to play the same characters that they played. Huh. But he doesn't want to have anything to do with that fucking timeline because he thinks it's complete garbage, is what he said. He actually said he thought it was complete trash.
I wonder if they would get, like, Chris Pine, who plays Kirk, Captain Kirk,
right,
to, like, get back in that swing daddy, yo, swing daddy, you know, like, fucking, like, he'd be like, yeah, daddy, yo, you know. All right, but
well, dude, not only that, but Zachary Quinto, dude, nailed Spock.
Is it Quinto? Whatever.
Quinto, whatever you want to say. Nailed Spock.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of people, I was a little worried even when they did that earlier on, but this is a horror podcast, Patrick. Don't you suck me into your fucking stupid sci-fi. I'm kidding. No, I love sci-fi. I'm just being a dildo.
All right.
But I think it might be that time, Patrick.
Oh, shit.
Horrorshots! They're like, they just started Horrorshots? I know that's what they're thinking, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, guys, what we're going to be doing today, since we watched the movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by André Øvredal, and, of course, produced by...
Guillermo del Toro.
Yes. So we figured we'd do a shot based around it. And the only name that we could come up with that seems somewhat clever.
Maybe be on the nose, but...
Yeah, it's a little bit on the nose, but, you know, it's in good spirit of the movie is Scary Shots to Take in the Dark.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do with a scary story to take, or whatever. So we actually had the books here, and we were like thumbing through all the stories that we kind of read today, and we were like thinking of like what we could do. We're like, oh, could we do the toe one and like do some sort of drink with that? And ultimately we just wanted to take something that would like kind of light up the night, because it's supposed to be in the dark. And we thought, oh, what about glow in the dark shots? So we kind of looked online to see how to do glow in the dark shots, and we found one, but we changed the ingredients as per BTV usual and came up with scary shots to take in the dark. So you're going to need a black light for this, because in order to have it glow in the dark when you take the shot, you're going to have a black light.
Which I'm sure most of your freaks out there got one.
Right.
So.
Any of you potheads especially. I know you motherfuckers are always going to have fucking black lights. You're like, it's like your little flies flying around.
Little
like,
fucking
hey!
glow in the dark fucking Zeppelin posters and shit.
Whoa! Flying around
here,
trying
man.
to take
backcountry.
Buy the ticket, take the ride, man. We could reenact the fucking Fear and Loathing in pothead talk. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to need a black light at some point. You don't have to turn it on right before you do this unless you want to be really cool. But you're going to need a cup of tonic water, 3 ounces of blueberry jello mix. It's berry blue, technically.
Berry boo.
Any kind of variation. If you want to like spice it up with some blue raspberry Jolly Rancher Jello mix, then go ahead. I don't give a fuck.
I swear to God, I had a problem with that kind of Jello setting. Just to warn you.
Okay, well, there you go. There's their thing. So you might want to just do berry blue and just keep it real, because we got 1 cup of 99 watermelons that you're going to have chilled in the freezer. I meant to say freezer, but yeah, you want to put it in the freezer. It's a very high proof, so it's not going to freeze or anything, but you're going to want to keep that in the freezer. And then when you do, the tonic water is what makes this shit fucking glow. So in a small saucepan over medium heat, you're going to bring that tonic water to a boil, and then you remove it from the heat after it's boiling. You pour it into the 3 ounces of your blue Jello mix, okay? You let that dissolve. You whisk that bitch up. You add your cold vodka or your cold 99 watermelons, if you know what I'm saying.
It's bananas.
These big old 99 watermelons flip-flopping around like some 70s fucking naked party. And you pour it in the fucking Jello mix. And then you basically pour it in your shots and let it put it in the fridge like you would any kind of Jello. The important thing is that you actually put the cold Jello in there. You want it very chilled. So I'm assuming frozen is very chilled. So maybe you don't have to do it overnight, but you want it to be very chilled.
Liquor won't freeze anyways.
Right, but I'm just saying, maybe if it's too cold, then it will like harden too quick.
I think you should be fine.
But you're supposed to mix it. You got to whisk it in when you do that after the tonic water in the mix has been mixed first, because it will help it set and be, consistent throughout the whole Jello mix. So, that's it. Then you take the shot, you punch your friend in the face, and you say, "Happy fucking 3 years, you piece of shit." And they'll not know what you're talking about, but then you'll let them listen to the episode, and that's how you do it. And then they become fans, and we're friends, and everybody's happy, and we all suck each other's dicks.
Well, should they be like tie-dye diddly-do?
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Me tidy-do. I can't even remember how to fucking say it. So how am I
neither
gonna?
can I, man.
If you want to get real classy, real scary stories to tell in the dark, you can say me tie-do-tea Walker, which is one of the stories in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'll be here all night.
But before we move on, we got to take a little drinky here, some Sambo. Oh.
Yeah, so we got to celebrate our 3-year anniversary. So, and I'm sure this is long, but for you guys that just cannot stand us and can't stand our humor, you can skip right on into the fucking, the review of the movie, the spoiler-free first, and then we'll jump into our spoiler section with the history of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Alvin Schwartz, Stephen Gamble, and a little bit of my own personal story. All right. Patrick, thank you for joining us.
As always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for being a part of this podcast. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, bro. A clinkety clank. Salud.
Hiya. It's so sugary, guys.
Oh, take me higher. Ooh, that's to the brim.
All right, cheers. We got to take 3 shots. You know that, right?
Oh, for 3 years, yeah.
Maybe we have to take 4 to make it lucky.
Oh, man.
We'll take 3.
Ooh, slap your mama.
It really starts to kick your ass after the second one. Yeah, the nips get hard. You start busting through the screens in front of you. Your shirts are fucked because the diamond tips are just popping right through, ripping. They're shredding your shirt right now. If you start moving, you're going to rip it off.
They are hard, dude.
Yeah,
they're
I'm telling you.
Woo!
Yeah, I could probably erase some of the words on this book's page with my erasers.
All right, uno más.
Not one for good luck?
Fuck you.
I know, it's too much. I don't know if I could do the fourth one. All right,
salute, my friend.
You gonna ring in the fucking this third shot with a puke?
No, we're not gonna pull
second
a mic.
Puke on the show ever.
No.
Come on, I'm rooting for you. All right, guys. So if you would like to try out one of our horror shots, all you got to do is go to longlivethevoid.com and check out our hashtag horror shots section to take scary shots to take in the dark right now. Well, that's it for horror shots. All right, guys. So now we're going to jump into our spoiler-free review of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It just came out. So don't worry. You don't want anything spoiled. We're going to be good little boys for the 3-year anniversary. Did I mention that we did 3 years? By the way. We're a little fucked up right now, guys.
Yeah.
Those shots really got me sideways right now.
I could tell, dude. That's Sambuc.
That's that Sambuc, man.
That's Sambuc. It don't fuck around me.
Man, I'm fucking good, man. Shit. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm sorry we're being foul little children right now, but it's just the way it is. So now we're going to jump into our spoiler-free review of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark right now. We're going to go ahead and let Patrick do some of the honors on some of the intro information about the movie.
The story is a group of teens confront their fears to save their lives.
Sweet.
So the director for this movie is André Øvredal. Am I saying that right?
I think so. It could be Øvredal, but who knows? It's,
So other movies that he's known for is Troll Hunter, The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yeah, I love that.
Future Murder.
Autopsy of Jane Doe is a great movie. Fuck you if you hate it.
Yeah, I second that motion. Right in your keister. So, other than that, he has an upcoming movie, which was a Stephen King book.
Yes.
Called The Long Walk.
Goddamn right. Yeah, so, fuck, guys. He's actually, I didn't realize I forgot he was the one that was going to be doing the adaptation. So, really curious to see how that turns out.
You know what dude, the Langoliers. Like, can somebody please remake
the do a real version of it?
Please. Yeah. My favorite fucking Stephen King story.
Okay, yeah. There was some cool stuff in it. What about the Tommy Knockers?
Yeah, it was good too. Yeah.
I like the Tommy Knockers, whatever. I am sweating. Like, I am sweating because we took those shots.
The book is no joke. Don't fuck with the book.
The book gonna get you.
The book will book you up.
Yeah, you don't drink the book drinks you. And speaking of books, we're going to be talking about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark book. Go ahead.
The producer was Guillermo del Toro.
Of course.
And some of the movies he's known for, if you don't know, Hellboy, Blade 2, which I didn't know that.
You didn't know Blade 2? Yeah,
I didn't know that. But
it's his characters,
dude,
man.
I love Blade 2.
He's got great characters.
He does. And one of my favorite movies, Mimic.
Yeah. Continue.
Continue. All right. Pacific Rim.
Yeah, which was come on, let's go back to the good shit. Come on. Pan's Labyrinth, for fuck's sake. Kronos, The Devil's Backbone. I mean, there's a bunch. He actually helped write the Silent Hill 10 game, the PT game, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, continue.
So some of the writers we have is Dan Hagman and Kevin Hagman. And some of the movies these guys are known for are pretty PG. I mean, PG-13 probably, like the Lego movie, the Lego Ninjago movie, and Hotel Transylvania.
Okay.
We also have another screenplay writer was Guillermo del Toro, but obviously. You know the movies he's done. And then also Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Welton.
And then obviously the movie is, like I mentioned before,
it was Alvin Schwartz.
Well, not the movie, but the novels that are...
The movie is based on.
Right, is Alvin Schwartz.
And he's done... the trilogy.
Well, he's done tons of books. I'll get into that in the history, so don't worry about that. So the cast, we have also Zoe Margaret Coletti, who plays Stella Nichols. She's been in a few things. She's kind of young, obviously, so she hasn't been in a whole lot. But she's been in Annie, the remake. She was in Wildlife, City on a Hill, Skin, and that's pretty much it. Also in the movie, it stars Ramon Morales, who is in this film. He was in The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, and Wayward Pines. We also have Gabriel Rush, who plays Augie, who was in The Grand Budapest Hotel, Moonrise Kingdom, No Letting Go, and The Kitchen. Also in this movie is Dean Norris, who plays Roy Nichols. He was in, of course, Breaking Bad, Total Recall, Under the Dome, Get the Gringo, and many, many more. He played the FBI agent in Breaking Bad. He's a really good
job at playing, the fucking asshole.
Yeah, but he's...
In this one, he's not so much the asshole.
He's not a big part in this movie.
No.
This movie also stars Gil Bellows, who plays Chief Turner, who I've seen in a ton of fucking movies. He was in The Patriot, The Shawshank Redemption, Lovin' a 45 is most notable. He was one of the big stars in that one. He was in Suits, The Handmaid's Tale, Nation's Fire, Run This Town, and many, many, many more. Also, Austin Zajor. Zajor? I don't know. Chuck Steinberg, he plays. He's the kind of like the comedy relief for the most part in this movie. He is in movies.
Yeah, he definitely reminded me of that guy from Stranger Things. I can't think of the kid's name, but you guys know all I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and he was in Fist Fight, the comedy, and Jim Carrey's Kidding. And that's pretty much it. We also have Natalie Ganshorn, who plays Ruth in the movie, his sister, who has been in a few things called Make It Pop, Wet Bum, The Stanley Dynamic, and quite a few others. And that's pretty much it for the cast, but the budget is $25 million that they put into this film, which is more than average.
Yeah.
And it definitely shows. But we're going to tell you all about what we thought about it. Actually, Patrick, why don't you go ahead and kick it off and tell us what you think?
Well, you know what? You being the father of this podcast, I think you should take down this and go first.
Don't give me that shit. I'm not even the father, by the way. I'm the mother. Mike impregnated me, okay?
So he was the bastard father that took off.
Yes, I birthed this motherfucker. That is the deadbeat dad.
Oh, shit. Shots fired. Oh,
I don't mean that in a mean way. It doesn't need to be a mean way, but that's just the thing. I've been taking it over since. Someone had to drive the fucking baby to the fucking school.
You had to send him to college somehow, right? Shit.
You're like the surrogate father.
I stepped in.
Anyway, continue on. What did you think of this film, Patrick? Honestly.
It was okay. I'll tell you right now.
When you say okay, like what the fuck, man? What does that mean?
It had great special effects.
Okay.
Great acting.
Okay.
It was
what? So when you say special effects, you mean CGI?
Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Had a mix of the two, though, didn't it?
It did. It had practical and special, but it just seemed like it was kind of forced, kind of pushed along in some points.
Okay.
I would have liked them to dig deeper into each story and maybe develop each story a little bit better than they did. It kind of just felt like they were just pushing through story after story.
Okay.
Just to try to get through. But overall, it was a good movie.
What'd you think of the acting in it? Like, what did you think?
The acting was good. There wasn't anybody in there that I was like, you're not pulling your weight.
Okay.
They were all pretty much even-keeled. I just wanted more.
Okay.
I really wanted more.
That's understandable. I've been hearing a few people say that.
And one of my favorite, probably one of the shortest stories was The Red Mark. I thought they could have gone to the fucking extreme with that.
Right.
The couple of stories that I really fancied reading when I was a kid, it didn't deliver in my perspective. I mean, I really like to see it be pushed as far as they can go with it, and they didn't really go there. It felt like it's definitely a movie that you can bring your kids to and not feel like a jackass.
I mean, these days, probably so, yeah.
Right. Like, I remember when I went to go see Chucky, Like, there was a fucking 6-year-old kid there watching it.
Well, and if you guys know anything about these fucking books, there's been a lot of controversy about them since they began.
Right. You were able to buy them at book fairs when you were in school.
There were some schools, some counties that blocked them from happening. There's been many things. And we'll get into that in the history of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which should be safe enough. It won't ruin anything about the movie,
right,
by the way, once we're done talking about this review, guys. So just a heads up.
But, I mean, overall, I would give this movie like a 7.5.
Okay. You just wanted it a little bit more.
I really did. But maybe it's just because I've matured and, you know.
Did you feel scared by anything? Were you uncomfortable with anything? Did you like the visuals of anything? And when I say visuals, I mean like the cinematography, like.
Oh, the cinematography was on point. There was definitely a lot of good shots in this film.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of good color palettes. But as far as being extremely creeped out by anything, not really.
You know, one of the things I feel like what I kept thinking while watching this movie is like, I felt like I was watching a Stephen King film.
Yeah.
And like, not in a bad way by any means. Like, I felt like, you know, it's because of the folk tales. I don't want to ruin anything about the history of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'll kind of go over that in a little bit, but to give you kind of an idea, Alvin Schwartz was a fucking nut for folklore. And Stephen King has he does like a lot of folky kind of work. You know, he's very descriptive, of course,
for sure. Yeah.
More than most folklore.
Yeah.
So he's not exactly folklore because there's always like these hidden meanings and all that. And he does have some of that too. But I don't know, this movie, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty decent. I wasn't over ecstatic about it. So if I was ecstatic about it, it'd probably be more of like an 8.5 to 10. You know I don't give out 10s very often. I feel like sometimes like I'm a little too critical on some stuff to make it a 10 because it kind of needs to sit and percolate a little bit for me to really understand if this is something I want to watch. For me, I 100% want to buy this on Blu-ray. I want to own it. I think it's fun to pop on. You're right. I think it does kind of ride that line. I know a lot of our friends were saying, you know, why the fuck didn't you make it rated R? Like, we all grew up with it.
I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it multi-generational.
Well, like the books are.
Exactly.
Okay, because like, and that's something I told my friend. These are stories that bridge the gap between adults and children.
Right, they're campfire stories.
Right. And so it doesn't need to be all adult. I would have loved to see some of these stories as dark as they possibly could. And perhaps,
push it to the limit.
Yeah, like maybe one day we'll walk along the razor's edge and actually see that. But I think some of the charm about these stories are that it kind of bridges that gap. And I think if you would have gone too far, it kind of would have taken away from it. And I, you know, after watching the documentary, reading these books, like, I feel like it needed to be PG-13 after all. And they really did kind of push it a little bit. There's some stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's not super gory, but I mean, there's some stuff in it that, like, you know, it pushes that PG-13 pretty hard. It's just not a lot of, there's no blood and, you know, like none of that kind of stuff. But these stories aren't really supposed to be that gory anyway. They are in the sense that, you know, body parts get removed and things like that. But they don't talk about blood splashing on people's face. There's like one story about blood on the bride's hand or some shit like that.
What about the Scarecrow story where he's talking about stretching out that guy's skin on the roof?
Well, sure. I'm just saying, like, it kind of skirts that line. So
it does.
And I think that the movie actually did a really good job of actually portraying that and actually trying to take it. Now, they took creative liberties with the movie to kind of expand some of the stories and actually combine some of those stories.
They definitely did cherry pick.
So for those of you who are fans of the stories, you might be either, one, surprised by these things in a good way, or you might be a little miffed about that they didn't keep the stories as exactly as you read them. I'm not one of those people. I'm a fan of these books. I found a new love for reading these books. It makes me want to read again because I read these books again, and they're really easy reading, and it kind of like really explains the love of storytelling. In a lot of ways, this movie, I think, does the same thing. I thought the acting in this movie was like extremely good. I didn't feel that was that bad. I thought it was better than I was expecting. Kind of felt like an It movie in a way, but with scary stories to tell in the dark. I wasn't really scared by anything, but the imagery could be kind of scary for somebody that was of a younger age. But for me, it was pretty tame for the most part. I enjoyed some of the characters in it. I thought they delivered the stories very well. They went for that approach that I was talking about with the whole Goosebumps 2 thing, where in the sequel they find a book and then things happen. And that's essentially what the trailer said. So bad thing about the trailer, I would say, is that I was hoping for more than I saw in the trailer, and I think the trailer fucking ruined it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it ruined it for my experience. Had I just gone and seen the movie without watching the trailers, and they kind of blew their load right off the bat.
Yeah.
What was it, the Super Bowl? They fucking showed every single type of the trailer,
right.
Every one of the creatures, every one of the stories, like almost off the bat. There are a few nuggets in there if you want to fucking go see this movie. I mean, odds are you're going to see this movie regardless of what I say anyway. But if you want to see live action scary stories to tell in the dark, it's not a bad film. No. I just wanted more. I wanted a hell of a lot more. I thought that they did a really good job for the most part. I think it's a really good film, but I was a little disappointed because I kind of was expecting that they would do other stories along the way in their storytelling. And maybe it was just too much. Maybe it was just too much money.
It could have been.
There's so many stories in these 3 books, man, that I'm holding in my hand literally as we speak. I've got scary stories, and more tales that chill your bones. And I feel like there could have been some funny things that they had happen along the way that they could have referenced to some of that material. I really loved how they took some of the Hearst song in the movie and kind of wove it into the whole soundtrack for the movie, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But they used some of the same notes, you know, to kind of like push the movie along. I thought it was pretty decent.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They are definitely trying to push for a trilogy.
Yeah.
And they're going to do more stories. I don't think that's a bad thing. I hope that they get into it a little bit more. I think it would be fun to watch it. I thought it was a good movie, but I would probably be around where you are. I'm probably about a 7, you know. Like,
maybe 7.5.
It could be more.
It's teetering.
It's just, I think some of the punch was lost.
Yeah.
By watching the trailers. So
and a lot of that could have just been like, oh shit, like they fucking did that exactly like the book.
Yeah. I can tell you that to me, I think Autopsy of Jane Doe is better.
Yeah,
I think it's way better. But in the same regard, I think for this movie, I think all of the things they were hoping for were completed. I just wish they would have added more of the stories in it. But I don't want you to think, oh, there's not enough in there. No, it's really well weaved together. Like the stories really run together really great.
Well, there's like 5, 6 of them.
Yeah, there's like a lot of artistry in the fact of how they marinated all of them together. Whether or not you are completely like, fuck, it's got to be canon or it's nothing else, then you're probably not going to like this movie. If you're that strict on these stories, then it might offend you a little bit, and it might make you happy. I think I would like to see a sequel. Would you?
Yeah, I'd watch the sequel.
I'd watch the sequel. I just don't know what stories they would tell.
I don't know if I'd watch the trailer for the sequel, but...
Oh, I'm not watching a trailer for the sequel. Fuck that. I'm just going to go to the theater and see it, guys. And I would recommend to you, if you've been waiting to see the trailer and you're sitting on the fence going, should I watch it? Should I watch it? Don't. Just watch the movie. You were probably going to watch it. I broke my own rule, and I keep doing it every time because I'm just curious. The curiosity gets the best of me. But yeah, I'd probably give it about a 7.5, about where you are too. I thought it was a good outcome for a movie of this caliber with this many stories. You couldn't ask for any better writing to get this off the ground. The writing was really good. The acting was really good.
And like we said, it's definitely a great movie that you can go watch with your kids.
Yeah, I think you could. I mean, there was a lot of kids in the theater.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to get into some of the history of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark next. So if you want to know where the books came from and why they happened, nothing's going to spoil the movie when I talk about this. It's just kind of like the history of it. I watched some of the documentary and read up on a lot of this stuff. Thought it was very interesting. And yeah, maybe you will too. So we'll go ahead and jump into the history of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. All right, guys. So a lot of the books, these Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, particularly the first one, were put on the shelves in schools back in the day. And a lot of librarians actually fought for him to stay on the shelves, while some parents or PTA members were not too fond of him. They thought they were pretty grim for children to be reading between the ages of 5 to 11. Some schools banned it, some not. It was challenged all the way up to 2010, believe it or not. So between 2000 and 2010, 10 years, it was still challenged by a lot of people.
They were out before that, though.
No, of course they were. They were out long before that. All the way back to 1981 was when the books were made.
Right.
So I was in elementary school when these things came out, and we used to get them at the book fair. And I didn't even know that there was all this like contention about like whether or not these should be in it. But I definitely felt when I was a little kid that, yeah, these are pushing the limit.
Oh, yeah, dude. Especially with the art in the books. I remember that the red mark or the red dot or whatever, like the imagery of that girl's face busting open with the spiders was fucking crazy.
Well, I always got scared by just so much of the imagery. Stephen Gammell's work was just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely rode the line between what elementary kids should or should not read. And they tell a lot of stories about the banning and some of them being very hypocritical as things are, almost mirroring today's standards. We'll get into that later. Even, R.L. Stine, who did Goosebumps, had the same shit. He had the same fucking garbage about banning his stuff, and he was like a complete opposite of fucking Alvin Schwartz in a lot of ways, because he just wrote from off the top of his head, didn't even look into folklore.
Right.
At least these had the validity of being folklore. Apparently, Alvin Schwartz was tickled pink about all the banning. He thought it was amazing in his dying days.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thought it was great that it got banned. He thought it was like, oh, this is the perfect outcome,
He's like, fuck you.
Even his own son, there's some pretty interesting stuff in the documentary. It's called Scary Stories. If you guys want to check it out, I would highly recommend it. It's really interesting because it kind of mirrors a lot of what we're going through today with gun laws and things like that, and how people attach the tragedies to video games, horror movies, whatever you want to attach it to. I mean, we could call it sugar if you want, and then just say that sugar causes people to go crazy. But he was a reporter, though, Alvin Schwartz, before making a lot of the books. And he loved folklore and research. So it was kind of like he was prepared for this kind of thing. He would spend, R.L. Stine was like, dude, this guy would spend years studying one story because he was just so into it. And he would find all these like matching similar stories. And he was a reporter, a journalist, not a like super, big time journalist, but he had the intuition and he had the like,
more like a grassroots kind of.
Well, he had the like work ethic of a real journalist.
Yeah.
And he's actually written about 50 books in total for the first 30 years that he started writing.
Oh shit.
So apparently his son said some of the books were successful, a lot of them weren't, they just were. And it wasn't until the 3 books of Scary Stories that just took off. Of course, Alvin Schwartz passed away before he actually got to see the success of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It was still being fought in the schools, in court, national PTA. Even in the documentary, they have the lady who did the PTA thing meet up with his son.
Really?
To talk about whether or not he thought these were acceptable for children to read. And I'm like, you already know the answer. Yes. A lot of people defended it. It was always on the line. Some people felt that it was too much. Some didn't. Whatever. But a lot of his earlier books were about how to raise children, actually. And his son was even saying that he didn't really know how to raise kids. He just kind of wung it, like winged it.
Sometimes that maybe be the best way to do it.
Right. Well, he said, and it's funny because, his son and him actually kind of had like a weird relationship. They didn't really have the closest bond because he was a man of passion and he wanted to do a lot of the passionate things that he wanted to do with writing and stuff. So he spent a lot of that time researching rather than
hanging out with his kid, no?
Playing ball with his kid or whatever else, Early on, he actually was fighting lymphoma and was told that he was cured, so he thought everything was fine, but it eventually caught up to him later on. They thought they got it.
Oh man.
But they didn't.
Oof.
All the pictures that you guys hear about too in the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the funny thing about this is that Stephen Gammell is one of the more seclusive kind of individuals that you'll find, and he's very particular about what he'll work on. It's interesting because Stephen Gammell was presented to Alvin Schwartz by his publisher, and he instantly loved Stephen Gamble's work. So Alvin was like, hell yeah, this is good. So all the pictures to me really set the tone for the whole series, and they kind of make it very endearing.
Oh, yeah.
And creepy. It's like these are pieces of art that you cannot replicate. There's people that have tried to replicate it, but them together, Alvin Schwartz and him, was like a force to be unleashed on the imaginations of children, mine included.
Oh, yeah. Like, those pictures stuck with me.
It's like they were both fascinating, and I was also kind of scared of them a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it felt like scary to open the pages a little bit. And then the cool thing about the books was that he would teach you how to scare people and like how to like tell a story.
Yeah.
Because he felt like the key to these books were how you tell them. And the key to any scary story was how you tell them. Even the beginning of this book, he tells a story of this prince, a young prince who became famous for scary story he started to tell, but did not finish. And his name was Mamilius, and he's probably was 9 or 10 years old. William Shakespeare, of course, told about him in The Winter's Tale. And apparently the queen asked him for some sort of story, and he said, a sad tale's best for winter, because it was winter at the time. And he said, I have one of sprites and goblins. And she was like, do your best to frighten me with your sprites. And he said, I'll tell it to you softly. Yond cricket shall not hear it. And then he said the last final words that he had before finishing this story was, there was a man dwelt by a churchyard. But that was as far as he got, you know? He was never able to finish it because the king came in and arrested the queen and took her away.
Oh, shit.
So, and soon after that, Mamilius died. So no one knows how that story would have finished. And that, in some ways, intrigued Alvin Schwartz to the point of how to tell stories and how interesting it was for people to know that story by dragging it out.
Right.
So that's the kind of the genius, I guess, of Alvin Schwartz. Whether you like the books or not, this is what kids remember. You know, Lovecraft may have been a better writer, but Alvin Schwartz was good at getting kids involved in the dark arts, cutting up lambs. Just kidding.
Getting them virgins.
Oh my God, no. But Stephen Gamble did the artwork. That was like one of the most important things of this whole book. It's what tied it all together because Alvin Schwartz was actually really good at writing, and for children especially. But with Stephen Gamble's work, it just really, like I said, it just really makes that a solid punch to the face.
Right,
It's
it took
like
it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's the best possible outcome you could have for these kind of stories. But there was a little bit of a debacle a few years back where they put out the books with new art. That caused a huge uproar on the internet, and the price of the old books that were made previous to it, the originals, went up in price. They were like $500 to $900.
Yeah.
A piece, I think.
Damn.
Yeah. Or just the set. I don't remember, but it was expensive. So they, of course, re-released it. I think it was like last year at some point, because I remember we reported on it. I think Brittany was with me. She's got like tattoos up and down her leg of Stephen Gamble's artwork because she's just such a fan. But Gamble, like I mentioned before, is like a really private person. He doesn't do any interviews, by the way. So none. Hardly. There are hardly any. There is one interview he did many, many, many years ago, and they talk about it in this documentary called Scary Stories. I'll sort of paraphrase what they said in the story. They mentioned that his job as an illustrator and his preference was to draw from his imagination and not research. That, you know, he kind of wanted to make each of his drawings his own and what he represented it as. So, you know, he said to satisfy himself, I guess. He didn't even like to work with anyone when he did these kind of drawings either. He preferred to work 100% alone unless they made these stories up from the get together. So from concept. He said that when an author has done his work, that's where it ends. And it's now his job to interpret that work into his artwork to make the best possible work possible. Like I said, unless they work together like the author and him from conception. He even said that when he was a kid that he would turn in his reports, like his writing reports, to his teacher with artwork on the side, thinking that that would impress the teachers to give him a better grade, and he said that it didn't work. And that's pretty much the only peek into Stephen Gammell's life that we really get to see. That's pretty telling, I guess, in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
But as I mentioned before, Alvin Schwartz, of course, died from cancer. He had originally been battling lymphoma and was thought to have been cured, but it apparently came back. And his son, Peter Schwartz, he has like 2 sons and a daughter, I guess. He's one of the many, anyway. Said that the last time that he saw his father, he had this urge to say, "I love you," but for some reason he decided against it and just kind of stared at him and walked away. And so I guess, like I mentioned before, him and his father didn't really have the closest relationship.
They're kind of estranged, right?
Well, it wasn't estranged. It was just separate.
Yeah.
And even Alvin would write on the back of the picture of him to his son, "From your distant father." So, it was kind of like a joke to him in a way. Like, yeah, I know I haven't been a real close father.
Right.
So, but it was interesting because this documentary really delved into that, and he was very open about it. I thought that was really integral into this documentary. You can tell that he wasn't exactly 100% on board with everything that his dad was doing. He even told a story about his father and him having a talk about something where he was like, "Why don't you do something that's like of value?" To his father, kind of. It's like, you could do so much more, something more ambition than these tales, these little tiny tales. And his father said, "You don't want to know what I'm thinking about you right now." Right.
Damn.
It's dark, right? Like,
yeah.
That's some real family shit. He said that, in all fairness, he was in I think he was in school for Princeton or something like that. And he was in business. And so he was a very practical thinker, not a creative thinker. So that's why they kind of butted heads to begin with a little bit. But I think he's made up for that a lot, After his passing of his father, I think he is now kind of the herald that speaks of him and defends his work. So it's kind of an interesting thing, maybe. But he's definitely learned the value of these books and what they've meant to the world, since then. He seems to be the kind of the figurehead of Alvin Schwartz's work. So, but even they had that PTA lady that caused the big national stink about these books meet up with him to ask him that question. So, it was, do you really think these are for kids? And he was like, yeah. It's like, there's so many different stories that these attribute to in real life, and it's folk tales retold, things that we're supposed to remember.
Right.
And it's, these are things that kids need to learn as they get older, and this is done in a way that is like, not a conversation that you need to have with your children, like where someone dies.
And when you think about it, storytelling is really like a lost art.
I think so. Some of the thing that I've realized, we talked about this a little bit earlier, is how everything is like being blamed for the problems with the world. The world has been shitty since it began. It's also been beautiful since it began.
Yep.
Everybody is fucked up. Everybody just does things. I'm not trying to say that they're okay things by any means, but we as a kid grow up knowing these things that our parents never even tell us. And where we learn some of these things to kind of like cope with that kind of stuff is books and media and stuff. Yeah, you could say it shapes everything, but it all kind of balances out. You know what I mean? It's not like these things are just like an abomination. And, I think you see more fucked up stuff on the news than you ever see in these fucking books.
Oh, yeah.
And the separation of your mind, knowing that video games, horror movies, that they're not real. These are made. These aren't real snuff films, okay? Like, these are, they say things that your kids weren't thinking about maybe necessarily, but they're a lot smarter than you give them credit for. It doesn't mean they're going to go out and start picking people off, because they read these dark things. Well, it's crazy. We think it's just today, but no, this shit's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
It was metal music. It was satanic panic. It was fucking scary stories to tell in the dark. It's video games and violence, Doom. It's fucking
Kiss.
GTA, Kiss. Like, if you put sugar on your cereal, you're going to become a fucking Charles Manson. If you jerk off too many times, you'll get hairy palms and become a murderer.
I never heard that one.
I've never gotten hairy palms, I'll tell you what.
I put the research in. Let me tell you.
I did the research on the hairy palms thing, for one.
I was very hands-on. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, guys, what do you think about that? Did you read these scary stories to tell in the dark? Do you think these are okay for kids? Because personally, I do. And as a kid, I looked into these kind of things, and I knew how to delineate between it. Yeah, there are some kids out there that may need some guidance from somebody to kind of digest these kind of things. And that's what teachers are supposed to do. That's what maybe your church is supposed to do, although I'm not 100% on that. Your parents are supposed to do, your brothers, your friends. You know, sometimes we get a bad fucking deal, you know what I mean? And
I don't know about brothers either.
I think a lot of the times these stories, these kind of things, these movies, these games, they're more of an outlet than they are some sort of fucking depraved thing that we watch. And anytime I've ever watched any kind of these like traces of death kind of fucking things, it really disturbed me. And it made me appreciate the people I have, because life is kind of fucked up and it can go at any fucking point in time. And we learn this eventually as kids. We can't shield them from everything. You know, we just got to help them to digest it better any way we can. So next we're going to get into some of our scenes and kind of the spoiler section. So you may want to skip over that. So we're going to go ahead and sound the alarm right now.
Please do not listen to this if you have not seen the movie. That's right, please do not listen after this. If you have not seen the movie, you will indefinitely ruin your experience. Thank you, and have a nice apocalypse.
So, guys, now we're in our spoiler section. We're not going to break down the whole movie or anything. We're just going to talk about some of the different characters and different stories that they used in this movie, what we kind of thought, what were some of our favorite scenes. So, what did you think of how they kind of combined a lot of the stories together? Did that bother you?
It didn't really bother me. I mean, if anything, they're really trying to make an anthology out of this, and I don't see any other way, because some of these stories are very short, and some of them seem like they kind of fit together.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I think what I was looking forward to a little bit more is just like having these little ones. Like there's that one where the girl she thinks there's a hand grabbing her out of the ground, and it's really she stuck something. It's something about dancing on somebody's grave or whatever. She gets challenged to stand on a grave, and she pokes this thing in the ground, and she accidentally pokes her dress into the thing. And she thinks it's a hand coming out of the ground because of her friends telling her that the hand will come out of the ground and pull her down. But really, she's just got her dress stuck because she pinned it herself.
Maybe they could have opened up with a scene like that.
They could have added that in this movie at any instant when they're running across the fucking cemetery.
Yeah.
Or some sort of like, you know, just little nods to some of that stuff, I think would have been like, I kind of wanted a little bit more rapid fire. It felt a little too quaint for me in this movie.
Maybe it should have been like a whole, like, the book took over like the whole town, and like these little stories were happening everywhere.
Right, yeah, like that. I mean, maybe it could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
A little bit, you know, but I think it would have been a little bit more to see. It would have been nice to see more stories.
Yeah.
In the mix.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I still think what we got was like really good, and like I felt like it was done very well. It was a good outcome for the movie, like I mentioned before. I don't know, man. I'm not personally upset that they took, how many stories was it they did for the Jangly Man?
I believe it was 3.
Yeah. The Jangly Man is part of one of the stories called What Do You Come For? About a woman who's like super lonely, and all of a sudden these body parts come down the chimney or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then reconnect as a person, and she's like, why are you here? I'm scared out of my mind. And then it also comes from like Aaron Kelly's Bones, about a man who dies and comes back to his wife looking dead as fuck. And she tries to marry someone else because he just won't go back to the grave. And then that person decides to leave her because they don't want to deal with her dead fucking husband. But on their wedding night, before he decides to leave her, the new husband has a fiddler there, and then this corpse like dances around like over and over again, losing parts of his bones. Like he's like coming apart. And she's like, play faster, play louder.
Sing it till you break it.
Yeah, and like, so that was kind of interesting. And then there's the other story of the Me Tidy Doti Walker.
Me Tidy Doti Waka.
Yeah. Which is another story about this kid who gets challenged to hide in the haunted house, this haunted house or something, this haunt. They call it a haunt. And his dog, he brings his dog with him, and he's going to get paid all this money if he stays in over the night. And he makes a fire, and there's like all these like noises outside from Me Tidy Doti Walker, which sounds like some like Gaelic shit.
Right,
like,
and we
like
thought there
Irish.
might have even been some meaning to it. Don't bother looking anything up about it. There is no hidden meaning about Me Tidy Doti Walker.
Well, there may be, but we don't know what it is. We couldn't find anything about it, apparently. There was also the dog talking, like the dog talks, his dog, the kid's dog, and they do that in the movie when the fucking cop is like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And he shoots the head a million times, but no puncture wounds happen to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like it doesn't even exist, and they got swept up into this world.
Which was probably one of the most violent scenes of the movie when you think about it.
Yeah, because he breaks that guy's neck or whatever. Yeah.
That's probably the most violence you're going to see in this movie. Most of it's just jump scares.
But that was the big combo one where, you know, we kind of like I had read some of the stories and I was just trying to piece which ones, because a lot of these stories in the book kind of run together sometimes a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't really offend me personally from a movie watching experience and versus the book. I mean, the books are really great because they kind of like tell you how to scare people, like how to read stories and how to say it like quietly and all this stuff, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So there was another scene. They had Harold, which was with the first story.
Right.
Which was a different story than the book, because they have the fucking jockey dickhead who's dating one of the kids'
sisters. One of the kids' sisters, yeah.
Yeah. Which he was a real dick. I just wanted to punch him in the face the whole fucking movie.
Really, dude? Like, yeah.
Which means he did a good job, man.
Yeah,
like,
kudos.
But I would have knocked his fucking teeth out. You know, I don't give a fuck. Like, that shit fucking bothered me for some reason because he was just a huge dick. But I thought that story was like one of my favorites.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought they did Harold justice. You know, they made him kind of... If I had to pick one of the stories that was like one of the creepiest, personally, I like that one a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Although the toe one, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, which borrows from two different stories as well, is kind of a good one too. But do you want to talk about like the Harold scene?
I mean, the scarecrow itself, it was like straight from the fucking book.
Well, they show him picking on him too, like punching him in the face, right, and all these bugs crawling out.
With a baseball bat,
right?
I really liked it when he started walking through the cornfield, and he just kept passing Harold. Yeah,
like he couldn't get away from him.
Like he was in another dimension, kind of like, you know, Blair Witch or somewhere. You just couldn't get out.
Right.
And
well, maybe if he had a compass or followed the river.
Just follow one row all the way down. The witch get out eventually.
I wonder if they were like, oh, he could have followed the corn row all the way out.
Enough of your shit.
Anyway, right? Okay, sorry.
We digress.
Yeah, let's take a shot. You need to wake up.
I'm awake.
I don't hear it. I think you're drunk.
I'm a little drunk. I am a little drunk. So why don't we just take more shots? Because that helps, right?
I think so. I think that's how it works.
Does it?
I think I'm a little worn out. I'm not as, you want to pour it for me? Or you want me to do it?
I'll pour it for you. I'm a gentleman.
Here, I'll do it. Here,
I'm a fucking gentleman. Let me do it. I feel like dead man on campus. Like, let me light it.
Patrick's getting all
I'm a fucking gentleman.
All cozy, all fucking Matthew McConaughey up in the fucking chair over here. Hey, ladies, what you doing?
All right.
Thing I like about high school is, you know, it's like, Jesus, man.
Got my leg cocked up on the chair and shit. All right. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, bro. But yeah, the interesting thing about the Harold character is in the actual story, if you guys remember, Harold was fashioned to look like one of their friends that they didn't like.
It was an old farmer that had passed or something.
Yeah, and they were like making fun of him. They never liked him or something like that. So they made this as a joke, as a drunken joke. And they drank and partied, and eventually they were like telling...
Like when they didn't like their food that they ate because it's food they ate every day, they would smear it on Harold's face and be like, how do you like that stew, Harold?
Right, they would put him out in the fucking cornfield to scare away the scarecrows, and then...
The scarecrows. There's like wandering scarecrows out there.
Shut the fuck up. They were trying to scare the crows off, and of course, what a scarecrow does. But Harold, they would like make jokes with him at first, and then they would take their aggressions out on him until eventually, what Patrick mentioned earlier about the skin and everything like that, is that one of the they hear fucking Harold grunt. And they're like, yeah, that's not cool.
Wasn't it like Tommy and Arthur?
Tommy and Alfred.
Alfred.
Yeah. Tommy or Thomas and Alfred in the story.
Right.
But they use the same name for the fucking douchebag fucking jock guy who is beating on Harold and being dicks to the kids and shit in the story.
Yeah, it was Thomas in the story and it's Tommy in the film.
Right. I don't know. I thought the Harold the part in that was actually pretty spot on for the most part. I mean, yeah, it was about like farmers and shit like that in the book, and it didn't. I
almost like the story from the book more than I like the story that they told in the film.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's because it's a little bit more personal.
Yeah,
they kind of show the Tommy kid with his friends beating on it, kind of day after day. He's like, "Fuck you, Harold. Eat shit, Harold." That's what he says. Eat shit, Harold.
Yeah.
Because they can get away with the word shit. They can't get away with fuck in a PG-13 movie.
Cunt, fuck, shit.
I liked it. I liked how he was all rickety and fucking scary. Like, kind of chasing him and walking slow like an old slasher like Jason.
Dude,
you know?
those cockroaches they had just crawling all over him, and inside his fucking eye sockets was just...
It definitely added to it, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel like this movie needed to be in black and white.
Dude,
you know what I mean? What? Just because of the fucking books and shit, you know? Like,
this is way off track, but I used to think it was stupid when like they would play like, I don't know if you remember this, but they used to play some of the Walking Dead episodes in black and white on Sci-Fi Channel.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, how stupid are people that you know that you can change the color settings on your TV to make anything black and white? Like,
can you?
You can.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What?
I don't know. Why do I care to change it to black and white all the time? We're in
to your picture.
This is the color revolution.
You can take all the color out of anything that you're watching.
Anyway,
we digress again.
You digress.
I digress. I'll digress the shit out of this.
Anyway, there was also the big pale lady, which was from the books. It's called the Dream. She was the larger creature.
Man.
In the movie with the red room, which they connected it, which I don't remember it being in the books. I didn't see the red room or anything like that.
But the character itself was fucking straight from the book.
Right.
Oh my God, the artwork, dude. Like, the character from the movie is exactly what you remember from this book.
From the artwork, yeah 100%. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Just her smiling and shit.
Creepy as fuck.
She feels like she's just going to eat. I thought she was going to swallow somebody, but she just pushed him into her body.
Yeah, and that kind of took the creep factor away from it.
Which, by the way, it has nothing to do with the book whatsoever. The book is like it's like she just pops up all of a sudden in the book, and like not much is said about her. They don't even talk about her being large, other than the fact the picture shows her as large.
They don't mention her being big at all.
No.
But if that's the way you want to go.
Just old and friendly, and she's just smiling her way in the fucking movie. And like he tries to go down the hallway and like escape each way, and it's like, nope. She's in every corner.
And you think they would have made it like...
Don't you think he would have dodged around her a little bit?
I would have tried to jupe her.
Yeah.
Sidestep
she ain't going to move that fast. Let's be honest here. You know what I mean? She's not been working out. That kid's young.
But the end result of that scene, it could have been a lot better, especially with them being multiple of that lady. Maybe they all took a part of, taking him down, but it was just kind of fell flat.
I mean, I said earlier that, it would have been better. It needed to be PG-13 anyway. But, ultimately, I really would love to see it.
Yeah, just of them to take it there.
Right. But, I feel like, part of the reason they did it was because they wanted to appeal to a larger audience.
Yeah,
obviously,
yes.
But from a fan of these stories, I feel like, you know, it wouldn't have been true to them if it was like super dark.
No.
And it might have
not to say that they couldn't have gotten away with doing a super hardcore film.
But the thing is that a lot of people, these books got them into horror.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these were the stories that made them a horror fan. So if they would have gone too far,
yeah,
you know, we've been basted in this fucking gore and crazy shit.
You're 36 years now, and it's fucking just based.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it, like, me especially, I feel like I've watched a lot of fucking movies that I would love to see go fucking apeshit. I don't know if you guys watch the guys called Corridor. They do all the like CGI special effects stuff, and they kind of make it like a comedy thing, but they like took some Marvel action scenes and turned them into gore fests. And there was like one scene, I was like, oh my God, that is amazing. Like, because if you think about like Thor's hammer and like hitting somebody with a hammer, he's not just going to be like, bink, and like fly back.
He's going to explode.
He's going to explode.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Anyway, I think it was probably the better choice to go for this, even though I know it was a marketing move probably for them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. Maybe I've lost too much hope in humanity, and I'm wrong about that. But I think, you know, like, it would be nice to see these in a darker way.
Especially like one of the ones that really, I mean, probably one of the shorter of the stories, but the red mark, the red dot, whatever. If they would a little bit better close-ups on that, the face when the spider started coming
when
out
it
of
popped
her
and
yeah.
shit.
Oh, dude, like I really wanted.
They couldn't show any gore though. They had to like.
I mean, flashes of gore there was, but
she was the luckiest one out of everyone. Everybody else just ceased to exist.
Right, which we might see in the next movie if they do another movie.
Well, it seems like that's what they were going for by the end of this movie.
Yeah.
One of the other things in the story that I wanted to mention, Stella, who was the red-haired girl with the glasses and everything in this movie, who was also a writer and kind of admired the character that they came up with in the movie called Sarah Bellows. She kind of understood her. She knew the history on this girl a little bit more than anybody else, I would say. But they did the story The Haunted House in the book that this is based off of, and you even see it in the book that she writes, and all these stories that come to life. And I think they changed it a bunch, obviously, because it is different than the haunted house story.
They had to make a narrative. They had to make a, you know.
Well, especially for kids, because the kids were the stars of this movie. And in the original story, they had, like, I think it was some woman that was killed, and a priest decided to stay in this haunted house. And this spirit of this lady who was murdered was, like, talking to him, saying, hey, I'll give you all this gold if you take my finger or something.
Which I think they could have adapted that story a little bit better than they did. I think so too,
but let me explain the story first before you jump into that. She tells the priest that if he takes this, I think it's a finger.
Yeah, it's
a bony finger of hers, and takes it and puts it in the collection plate, that if she does that, it'll attach to the person who is the killer and actually killed her and is responsible for her murder, and then she disappears. And she's like, well, if before she disappears, she says, if you do that, then I will give you all the fortunes of all the treasure that's buried. And he's like, okay. So he takes the finger, puts it in the collection plate, it's attached to this guy's hand, and then fucking, like, he comes and the guy gets arrested. I guess he confesses to the murder, and then she goes back sometime later, and she tells him that under the hearthstone you can find this gold, and he uses it. In the movie, they kind of combine that story with another story called The Big Toe. It's weird because the woman in the story of the haunted house is the exact same woman that's walking around looking for her toe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the Big Toe story, they don't really say if it's male or female. They just say this sort of like thing, like, what did you do with my toe? It's about this kid who finds a toe sticking up out of the ground. He pulls on it, and it doesn't come up, and then he jerks it so hard that it comes off, and he hears something running off in the distance. Then he goes home. His mom cooks up the fucking toe. They cut it into 3 pieces and all eat it. And then that night, a fucking creature comes and is like, where's my toe? Who took my toe? So in the movie, they kind of combined it. It's weird because in the book, the woman with no eyes is in the haunted house. But in the movie, she's used for the big toe.
Yeah.
So it's a little confusing. During Augie, one of the kids, he gets the big toe story, but they use the woman, the picture from the story of the haunted house. So it's a little confusing.
Like, yeah, apparently ghosts can manifest stew in your fridge.
Yeah, but yeah, which is kind of interesting. I like how they kind of like spun that a little bit to kind of make it like the whole world. I almost was like questioning it for a little bit. Like, were they even in the real world?
Yeah.
Like maybe they never really left the house, the Cerebello's house. Because they tell the story of this girl who was an albino that they kept locked away in the basement and tried to accuse of like murdering somebody or something like that.
Murdering children, apparently.
Yeah, but they were the ones that murdered children, and
like
they were trying to
pouring mercury or something in the water.
Yeah, they like poisoned the water, and they tried to blame it on her so that they could get away with murder. And they, whatever. And that's the story of the haunted house, which the main character Stella. Yeah, she was the like main story character of the story, and she goes back into the haunted house story during the movie because the book starts writing itself. I thought that was all pretty cool. Like that's what I liked about it.
Like it was weird that she was like almost put in her exact shoes.
It was almost like
past.
Death Note or something like that. You ever seen
a little bit? Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it was like a Death Note meets Goosebumps.
That's a great comparison right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great duo right there.
Yeah.
I would not have thought of that, but yeah, that fits perfectly.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people didn't like the Death Note movie that Adam Wingard did in Netflix. I didn't mind it so much, but I liked
it.
I'm not like a huge fan of the fucking...
Yeah, I'm not a big anime.
No.
I mean, I like anime, don't get me wrong, but I didn't watch that anime.
No, and the closest I got was to watching the first Death Note movie, the live action movie that they did, which wasn't all that great. So, but
this
anyway.
One, yeah. You got me on something because what's his name? Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe in that movie was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. But I thought it was interesting, though, with the Stella character when she goes back to the haunted house and it's almost like she's stuck in the past.
Right. And remember, she drops her glasses.
Yeah, and he finds it. I thought that was cool. Those are like nice little touches. It was nice that they kind of wove those stories together. I didn't feel like the movie ended poorly. I thought it all wrapped up really nicely, and it felt really cool that they did it that way. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The movie was I thought it was pretty cool. Like they thought that the visual aesthetics and everything like all fit. It didn't feel out of place or anything like that. I thought it was fun. It was a little bit more quaint than I expected, but it's still a good movie. And
I think they accomplished the goals they were trying to do with this film.
Yeah, I think so too. It didn't blow past my expectations. It kind of just like was a little under what I wanted.
Right.
But it also, maybe my expectations were a little higher than they should have been.
I know mine were because I was expecting it to go there.
Also, I don't know what to say, like these fucking trailers, man. It's like, how are you supposed to know if a movie's good? And who the fuck are making these trailers where they're ruining the goddamn movie?
Right.
Stop it!
I want to tell you right now.
Like, somebody should fucking, like, can any producer, anybody who's, like, in charge of, like, putting these trailers out, somebody has to approve it. Why are you approving it?
Right.
Like, oh, you got to trim it back, man. We got to make it creepy without, like,
giving too much away.
Use your creativity to make it creepier than not show everything. Like, do something about it. Put a song in there that makes it, put that fucking Lana Del Rey song of the Season of the Witch in the fucking trailer or something, like something to make it better, because you're ruining the experience for people like me who are looking forward to this shit.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not supposed to be that way. Yes, you're supposed to sell the movie and make people want to go see it. But if you have to show and blow your entire load, you are fucking coming too fast and no one's gonna fuck you.
Like I was gonna say, dude, the Ring trailer for the first American Ring movie. Like I never saw the Korean version or whatever, but it intrigued me so much because it gave you nothing but it left you with all the intrigue.
Right. You just needed to make it fucking like dark and like not express anything. You didn't need to like do 4 trailers where it showed every single one of the creatures.
Yeah.
Except the Jangly Man, which we got to see in what? The 2nd or 3rd trailer anyway.
Yeah.
Like they didn't show the Jangly Man in the beginning, but they fucking blew their load on the first 4 trailers.
Well, you can tell they edited this film too.
Sneak peeks. Well, like if those are your sneak peeks, well, that's the whole fucking, that's like 50% of the movie right there or more.
Oh, yeah. Fuck you guys. Fuck you.
I don't know. It makes me mad, dude, because I wonder if I would have loved this movie had I not.
Right. Had not been expecting to see these scenes.
I was there when these fucking little bastards were made. You know, I was there, guys. I grew up with this shit.
Yep. Yeah, it was 81?
81. Yeah, I grew up with this shit. This was in my elementary school when I was a kid, and I picked this up at that fucking the school fair.
Yeah, the book fair. Me too, dude. That's where I first saw it. I remember seeing the artwork for it and being like, bam, here's my $10.
The 2 things that I would buy at those book fairs were scary stories to tell in the dark. If there was ever a new one, I'd be like, boom, boom, boom. That's, yeah, mommy gave me $20. I'm going to go buy this motherfucker. And I would also buy like The Mouse and the Motorcycle. I would also get those adventure stories where you choose your own adventure. Those are my favorite.
I specifically remember getting the first book of that, and Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Right, and then there was these other books when I was a kid, like, and I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this. I may be showing my old fucking waggly fucking wrinkled dick on this one, but they used to have these books that you could code with. You could type in all this stuff in DOS. Like the DOS, like actual DOS.
Yeah, you're old as
fuck.
And
you could create a game by the code that was in the back of the book.
Oh, damn.
And you could play it. I never got it to work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember that shit, but that's insane.
But those are the books that I would get, is like this, you know, all that. Choose Your Own Adventure was awesome, too. I loved those.
Oh, yeah.
I think I still have some of those
How many
books.
times do you just go back and you're like, wait, no, I didn't do that.
Right. Yeah, we all fucking cheated, Patrick. You don't know, you know, we all cheated, okay? Everybody acts like they didn't, but I did, okay? And I'm sorry! I'm fucking sorry, Mom! I'm a piece of shit! Guys, thank you so much for coming by this week. I know that was kind of a long-winded thing, but I had a lot to say about it. It's going to be hell editing this, by the way.
Yeah, have fun.
Because we were on Sambuca, and that shit turns us fucking sideways. I kept grabbing these books like I was petting them like they were my lover.
He did. He was really heavy petting on those motherfuckers.
I was using them as a fan. I was kissing them.
Sambu gets you hot.
It gets you fucked up.
It gets you hot on the collar.
3 years, guys. If you listen to this far, what are we going to do for the secret code this week? Because I want to know. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. I think that's appropriate.
All right. I like it.
So I'd like to end this podcast by saying the worms play pinochle in your snout.
I like them apples.
Seriously, guys, thank you so much. Patrick, thank you for coming and being back on this show.
Thanks for having me.
I really am. I love this fucking show. I love you guys. I love Patrick. I'm high as fuck right now on Sambuca. We got the Banana Splits show coming up. We got 47 Meters Down. I don't know if I'm going to go see that in the theater just yet. Ready or Not is coming out August 21st, so guys, expect that. We're going to be watching that for sure. I don't know if I really want to see Jacob's Ladder, but it's coming. It looked kind of garbage to me. No offense. It Chapter 2 comes out September 6th, so we'll be doing that. But we got a lot of things coming out. We'll let you know in the middle of the week what we're going to be doing. But thanks again for coming by. Happy 3rd anniversary! BTV! We'll see you guys next week. And as always,
Long live the void. Podcast. Tune in every Monday for a brand new episode.